everybody, welcome to another episode of The Inspirational Post by Sola. My name is Sola, and for those of you that are new on here, this is an inspirational vlog where we review both Christian books and inspirational books, and we always do it through the lens of the Bible because that's the one source of truth that I recognize. We're reviewing Atomic Habits by James Clear, and we are now on chapter 17. We're near the end. I'm very happy to say because I can't wait to obviously, review the next book. And it's going to be a very short episode today. The title of chapter 17 is How an Accountability Partner Can Change Everything. So here we go. The 4 key things that I learned from chapter 17 of the book Atomic Habits. Number 1, pain is the best teacher. So the book explains that we're more likely to repeat an experience if it was satisfying for us, and less likely to repeat the experience if it's painful, if it was a very painful experience. We naturally tend to avoid unsatisfying experiences. And in the book, James Clear actually says, pain is the best teacher. You know, this thing that we always say, I don't know if it's an African thing or if it's a thing in general about how they say experience is the best teacher. Oftentimes I realize that when they speak about experience is the best teacher, that experience they're talking about is pain. When I was reading this book, I was like, actually, I've never really deeped it. I think the experience that most of the time that they're talking about is pain. It's pain. And it's very true. It's very true. One of the things that he says is that the more costly and immediate a mistake is, the more motivated we are to actually avoid repeating it. I think previously I'd shared the example of when I used to go to Pilates, and oftentimes I want to cancel because when I go to the gym, if I don't feel like it, I just press cancel and I don't go. There's no fine, there's nothing because I paid my monthly dues, right? There's nothing. But with Pilates, if you miss a class, you're gonna miss you're gonna lose your money if you don't give them 48 hours. I think something quite ridiculous. So I don't miss Pilates. Once I'm booked in, everything I'm doing is to fall in line with the Pilates class. Because it's costly. Not attending is costly. And it's not just good enough that pain is the best teacher or experience is the best teacher. If you feel pain and you don't reevaluate to think about what you could have done differently, you keep repeating the same pattern. So when I was reading this, I was just thinking to myself that, actually, it's not just good enough saying that pain is the best teacher or experience is the best teacher. When you go through something painful, think about what went wrong, what you could have done better, what role you played in it, and, that would help you prevent, the same reaction or the same experience that you previously experienced. And obviously, when it comes to pain of a loss of a parent or pain of death, obviously there's no lesson to learn there. It's just what it is. But we're speaking about pain that come from experiences that maybe we put ourselves through. That's the kind of pain that I'm speaking about. Point number 2 that I learned: attach immediate punishment to bad habits. So James explains that we often repeat bad habits because there's some form of satisfaction attached to them. For example, smokers always say, this is not the example he gave, but I'm giving that. Smokers always say they feel a form of relief when they smoke, especially when they're stressed out. A lot of people feel like when they're emotionally down, eating a tub of ice cream, things like that sort of make them feel better. Personally, I think a lot of these things are mental. There are a lot of things that we are telling ourselves because after the bowl of ice cream, we're back to square one, at least for me. And what he's saying is that attaching an immediate punishment to those bad habits or mistakes can be the game changer that we actually need to fix in those bad habits. And one of the examples he gave was students showing up to class more consistently when attendance contributed to the end, to their final grade. And I think we all experienced that. And even in church, there's this Bible study that you've got to go through Bible study class, and when you join the church, if you want to become a worker. And some of the things that they attached to the final grade was your attendance of the class, putting your video on because it was virtual, putting your video on so that at least they can see that you're proper, like, paying attention. and you'll show up because you don't every grade, every mark adding towards your grade matters. So that's a very valid point. Attaching immediate punishment to bad habits, so the bad habit of not showing up, or the bad habit of laziness, which is when it comes to actually doing something, you start making excuses, or you feel a bit complacent. If you attach something to it, it could be a game changer. Point number 3, I like this one. I don't know if you find it practical, but I like it. He's introduced something called the habit contract. And you know how even in the real world, we have laws and regulations, rules and regulations that sort of bind us. We're not really signing anything, but it binds us to what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing in the community. For example, wearing seatbelts. They've said that there's there will be a penalty or whatever if you don't wear your seatbelt. Smoking in public, all these kind of things. Those are examples of social contracts that have been put in place for us as citizens of a particular country or residents of a particular country. In the same way, he's saying that we create a personal habit contract for ourselves to hold ourselves accountable to the certain things that it is that we want to do. And I'm going to read that in page 208. Page 208 says, just as governments use laws to hold citizens accountable, you can create a habit contract to hold yourself accountable. A habit contract is a verbal or written agreement in which you state your commitment to the particular habit and the punishment that will occur if you don't follow through. Then you find 1 or 2 people to act as your accountability partners and sign off on the contract with you. Obviously, I think it's a bit extreme, to get somebody to sign a contract, but we're adults. You don't need to get someone to sign the contract. If you say you're going to do something, your word should be your bond. At least that's how I live my life. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So the example that he gave is the example of Brian Harris. And I'm going to read, just a little bit about what he says about Brian Harris. Brian Harris is an entrepreneur from Nashville, Tennessee. Was the first person that James Clear saw put the strategy of a habit contract into action. Shortly after the birth of his son, Harris realized he wanted to shed a few pounds. He wrote up a habit contract between himself, his wife, and his personal trainer. The first version read, Brian's number 1 objectives for Q1 of 2017 is to start eating correctly again so he feels better, he looks better, and is able to hit his long-term goal of 200 pounds at 10% body fat. And the book lays out sort of what the contract says. And he listed the punishment if he failed. You know how he said you should attach some form of punishment to what it is that you're trying to establish. If Brian doesn't do these 2 items, then the following consequence will be enforced. He will have to dress up each workday and each Sunday morning for the rest of the quarter. Dress up is defined as not wearing jeans, t-shirts, hoodies, or shorts. He also gives Joey, his trainer, $200 to use as he sees fit if he misses 1 day of logging food. To be honest, that's extreme. That's someone that really wanted to lose weight. If you know the habit is not that deep, don't do it. If you know it's not that peak for you, don't do it. But it's just putting some form of accountability check in place. It doesn't have to be that rigid or that structured. But putting that in place and getting somebody off to verbally sign that off or just be in agreement with you. Point number 4, my final point, which is also what I've said. So one of the things that James says is an accountability partner. He talks about an accountability partner. We don't always have to go to the extreme ends of actually creating a social contract or a habit contract. I mean, social contract is the one that we get back from the government. But a habit contract with our loved ones or whoever your accountability partner is. He emphasizes that you can just create a verbal contract with somebody that would hold you accountable to the things that it is that you want to do. And I'm going to speak about myself. When I started this year, because I used to be a gym rat, abs and everything, and obviously that's not the case right about now, that's not the case, but we're getting there. So the start of this year, I said to one of my friends, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? Can you please be my accountability partner? These are the days that I want to go to the gym 3 times a week." And I gave her the days. I gave her realistically the sort of timings that I would go to the gym, and I made it clear to her that there were no excuses. Obviously, if I'm ill, then that's an excuse. But outside of that, there are no excuses. Even if it's raining, I'm gonna be at the gym. Um, and she agreed. So at the beginning of the week, she's so good. At the beginning of the week, she's gonna ask me, "So B, when are you going to the gym? Just to confirm, are you gonna make it this week? How many times are you gonna go?" And to be honest, because I don't want to disappoint her, for me, I live by the principle of my word is my bond. Like if I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. If I say I'm gonna do something for you, I'm gonna do something for you. If I say I'm gonna do something for myself, I'm determined to the core. That's my personality. Thank God. Um, so just because I don't want to disappoint myself, I don't want to go against my principles, and I also don't want to disappoint her, I will make sure that I follow through with my 3 times a week, and I'll check in with her. I'll send photos. And I'll also text her when I'm going and when I come back. And then she does the same as well. So she wanted to go back to the gym as well. And she was like, you know what, I'll do the same as well. And we check in with each other, which has been really, really helpful. And when I was reading this, I was reminded. So it's so, like, I think I've said this before, that everything that we do in life, like, I feel like it's everything that we do in life literally is premised on the Bible. The only way I want to live my life going forward is what the Bible says. Like, I want to be intentional about living my life the way the Bible has instructed me to live. So when I was reading this, I was reminded of Ecclesiastes 4:9-10, which says, "Two are better than one. If either of them falls, one can help the other." Accountability partner. We're meant to walk together, guys. We're not meant to walk against ourselves. Find somebody that you can trust. You're not meant to walk with everybody. Find somebody that you can trust. Someone that you can trust you respect their values. Don't go and have an accountability partner with somebody that you don't even respect their values. You don't respect them as a person. You don't care what they think. You don't care about anything. Find somebody and hold each other accountable. And when I was reading this, I was thinking about why the Bible talks about, the kind of friends that we have, and whoever chooses their friend, wisely is, iron sharpeneth iron. Like, it's a thing. The people that you call friends should be able to hold you accountable to being a better version of yourself. If they fail at doing that, then they are not the right people you should have in your circle. Whoever is in your life as a friend should be sharpening you. Whoever you have in your life as a friend should be able to hold you accountable. Even if you guys don't have the verbal agreement, as we speak about in this chapter, they should still be able to hold you accountable. Because the Bible actually preaches that. The Bible actually preaches that 2 are better than 1. If 2 of you come together, or a group of you come together, there's nothing that you can't achieve. And also, when I was reading this, I sort of had an idea about something. And this is for whoever or anyone that is struggling with spending quality time and intentional time and consistent time with God. Having an accountability partner might be helpful. So decide with your accountability partner that you want to read 1 chapter a day. When you read the chapter, it's not just good enough that you're just going to, just read the chapter and then that's it. I've read the chapter. No, you're not going to do that. You read the chapter, and even if it's just one thing that you learn from that 1 chapter, to show that you actually read and assimilated something inside your heart, share one thing with your partner, with your friend, with your sibling, from the chapter that you read in the day. Heck, you can start a group. It's just what you do. Sometimes I think sometimes we overprocess like things that we're supposed to do. You don't have to write a whole epistle about what you've learned. Just one thing. Start with one thing. So I want to challenge us that we should get an accountability partner. Share one thing that you read from a chapter daily. And the previous episode, we spoke about the paperclip strategy. I started doing it. I'll show you evidence of how far I've gone into the Bible. But it's actually helped me. I'm actually enjoying it. Dropping the pin in every day after I read a chapter or 2 or 3. So guys, those are the 4 things that I learned from this chapter. As I said, it's a very quick one. But as per usual, before I go, a quick chapter summary. Number 1, the inversion of the 4th law of behavior change is make it unsatisfying. Number 2, we're less likely to repeat a bad habit if it is painful and unsatisfying. Number 4, an accountability partner can create an immediate cost to inaction. We care deeply about what others think about us. We do. Let's not lie, we do. And we do not want others to have a lesser opinion of us. It's true. I know what is important is how God sees us, but let's not lie to ourselves. We also care about how people perceive us. To an extent. They shouldn't define us, but we care sometimes. Point number 4. A habit contract can be used to add a social cost to any behavior. It makes the cost of violating your promises public and painful. The final point, number 5. Knowing that someone else is watching you can be a powerful motivator. Quick, easy, straight to the point chapter. We like chapters like this. But yes, guys, let me know if you will be implementing the accountability partner in whatever habit it is that you're trying to change. Also, let me know, for those of you that are struggling to read the Bible, if you will be getting an accountability partner and sharing, even if it's 1 word a day from the chapter. Okay? So thank you very much for joining, guys. And I'm going to speak to you in the next couple of weeks. Bye.